History remembers Napoleon Bonaparte as a military genius, the man who conquered Europe, the emperor. But in 1798, long before Waterloo, he committed a crime so vast it should have ended his career. He didn't just lose a battle. He didn't just lose an army. He abandoned 30,000 men to die in the plague-ridden sands of Egypt, and then went home to Paris and told everyone he had won. This isn't the story of a conquest. This is the story of history's greatest PR stunt, and it begins with a lie. 1798. The French Republic is starving. They are at war with everyone. But their biggest problem sits across the Channel, Great Britain. France can't invade England. Their navy is too weak. So Napoleon, a 28-year-old rising star, proposes something audacious. If we can't hit London, we hit their wallet. He points to Egypt, the gateway to India, the heart of British trade. The Directory, France's government, loves the idea. Not because they think it will work, but because they are terrified of Napoleon. He is too popular, too ambitious. Sending him to the other side of the world, that solves the Napoleon problem perfectly. If he wins, France gets rich. If he dies, well, problem solved. But Napoleon isn't just bringing guns, he's bringing books. He assembles a team of 167 scientists, mathematicians, and artists, the Institut d'Egypte, the savants. Why? Because he doesn't just want to conquer Egypt, he wants to own it intellectually. He frames this invasion as a mission of enlightenment. It is the ultimate cover story. We are not invaders, we are liberators, coming to free you from the Mamluks. Spoiler alert, the Egyptians didn't see it that way. Napoleon lands in Alexandria. He takes the city easily, but then he makes his first fatal mistake. He orders a forced march to Cairo, through the desert, in July. They have no canteens. They are wearing heavy wool uniforms designed for the Alps. Water wells have been poisoned by the retreating Bedouins. Men start dropping, not from bullets, but from heat stroke. Veterans of the Italian campaign, tough men, begin to commit suicide rather than take another step. And where is Napoleon? He is riding a camel or walking with the scientists, asking questions about the pyramids. The dissonance is staggering. While his men are drinking their own urine to survive, Napoleon is discussing geometry. He wins the Battle of the Pyramids against the Mamluks due to sheer firepower. Soldiers, he says, 40 centuries look down upon you. He feels invincible. He is Alexander the Great reborn. But while he is posing for paintings, disaster is sailing towards him at 10 knots. August 1st, 1798. The Battle of the Nile. Horatio Nelson caught the French fleet napping in Abu Qir Bay. Nelson does the unthinkable. He sails his ships inside the French line, into the shallow water. It is a slaughter. The French flagship, L'Orient, explodes with such force that the battle stops for 10 minutes. Everyone just watches in horror. By morning, the French navy is gone. Napoleon wakes up the next day, not as a conqueror, but as a castaway. He has no ships, no supply line, no letters from home. He is trapped in the desert with 30,000 men. Does he panic? No. He spins it. He writes to Paris, "We no longer have a fleet. Well, we must die here or walk out great, like the ancients." He turns a catastrophe into a heroic last stand. But the Enlightenment mask begins to slip. The population of Cairo revolts. Napoleon's response? He orders cannons to fire into the great mosque of Al-Azhar. He executes the rebel leaders daily. The liberator has become a tyrant. Trapped in Egypt, Napoleon decides his only defense is an offense. He marches into Syria to head off the Ottoman army. And then the real enemy arrives. Yersinia pestis, the bubonic plague. You've seen this painting. It shows Napoleon fearlessly touching his sick soldiers at Jaffa like a messiah. It is a masterpiece of propaganda. The reality? He was terrified. At Jaffa, after a brutal siege, he captures 3,000 Ottoman prisoners. He can't feed them. He can't release them. They would just fight him again. So he makes a cold, calculated decision. He marches them onto the beach and has them executed, bayoneted to save gunpowder. It takes 2 days to kill them all. The ocean turns red. Then comes Acre, the fortress he cannot crack. He lays siege for 2 months, but an old rival, Sidney Smith from the British Navy, is helping the defenders. Napoleon launches assault after assault. His men are dying in heaps. For the first time in his career, Napoleon is beaten. He has to retreat. But he cannot let Paris know he lost. So he sends a bulletin home. "I have razed the palace of Acre to the ground. I decided to leave because of the heat." A blatant lie. August 1799. Back in Egypt, the walls are closing in. Napoleon gets a secret newspaper packet from Europe. France is losing the war. The Directory is unpopular. He sees an opening, not to save his army, but to save himself. He secretly purchases 2 frigates. He selects a handful of his best generals and the scientists he likes best. He doesn't tell the army. He doesn't even tell his successor, General Kleber, to his face. He leaves a note. In the dead of night, he sails away. He leaves 25,000 suffering, angry, plague-ridden men behind to rot. General Kleber, when he finds the note, says, "That bastard." When he lands in France, he isn't court-martialed for desertion. He is greeted as a savior. Why? Because his letters arrived before he did. He published his own newspaper, Courrier de l'Égypte, which printed only his victories. He spun the narrative so hard that the disaster in Egypt looked like a spiritual odyssey. 3 months later, he stages the coup of 18 Brumaire. He becomes the first consul. The men he left in the sand, most eventually surrendered. They came home years later, broken. But by then, nobody cared. Napoleon was the emperor. The history books call this the Egyptian campaign, but looking back, it was the first modern media campaign. Napoleon proved that in war, truth is the first casualty. But if you kill the truth effectively enough, you can become the king of the world.